To be tagged or not to be tagged? I don't think we need to ask Hamlet about that question when it comes to Devonte Adams. Five-time Pro Bowler coming off back-to-back seasons where he topped over 1,300 yards and scored double-digit touchdowns. Packers have a front-row seat of what he can do the past few years. Now it's up to the front office and general manager Brian Gutekunst there to get on the same page when it comes to his number one wide receiver. He talked about that a little bit earlier this week.
Yeah, again, another hypothetical. So we'll kind of, it's not something we like to do. We'd certainly, not like to do that if we don't have to. We'd certainly like to come up with a long-term deal that works for both sides. But that's, it's a hypothetical that a lot of things have to happen before we get to that point.
Well, in terms of your plan, is there a scenario in which you wouldn't tag or extend Devonte Adams? Could he walk, or could you let him walk?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, again, like I said, I think there's a lot of things to be determined there.
All right, let's get a little real here, because if it is the highest paid wide receiver, we're looking at and calling him wide receiver numb based on what we've seen. Deandre Hopkins checking in at $27 million, just over with that 0.3 when it comes to that AAV there among wide receivers. The tag might be the option, but if you're Devonte Adams, you want to be at the top of this list based on what your numbers look like compared to Julio Jones, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, guys that are getting paid 20 and possibly more into the future. Time to make them dollars make a little sense here. Jason La Canfora to kind of help us get on the same page as pen and paper at HQ. And let's dub this the segment tag or no tag here. And if we're talking Adams, key piece for Aaron Rodgers in that offense, could he break the bank, or is the tag the option here for the Packers?
It really is going to be determined by whether or not the Packers and Aaron Rodgers can come together with a scenario whereby he stays there on a contract extension that lowers that $46 million cap number significantly, and then, allows all this to fall into place. But look, again, let's just go back to a year ago. That was the time to get a deal done with Devonte Adams. It didn't get done for a multitude of reasons, including the cloudiness and murkiness at the quarterback position. So there are a lot of chickens, who laid the eggs and it's now coming home to roost. Take your farm metaphor where you want to go, but these are problems that were exacerbated and complicated by the offseason a year ago, which included so much turmoil and tumult regarding the future of Aaron Rodgers there. If Aaron Rodgers isn't coming back, then franchise tagging Devonte Adams isn't going to make a whole lot of sense. And I still am skeptical, frankly, that they're going to be able to keep that team together because of their cap woes to a degree that it's going to make sense for Aaron Rodgers to ultimately stay there. And look, The Last Dance, they said it, they tweeted it, not me. That's what this was set up to be, and it's going to be hard to now undo that.
A lot of scrambled eggs there when it comes to the Packers and Aaron Rodgers and Devonte Adams. Out in L.A., Mike Williams, he put together a career year, 76 catches for over 1,100 yards. The Chargers do have the second highest cap space in the league. Does he get the tag, though, there?
No excuse for him not to. I have to think he does. They're playing second fiddle to the Rams in that market. They're struggling for an identity for market share, even though they have Justin Herbert. They don't have a lot of big-ticket items that they have to take care of. They can create abundantly more cap space, not that they need it, by restructuring Bosa. Yeah, they got to get Derwin James done, but they can't let this kid leave. They're in this window with Justin Herbert while he's making no money. You can't let one of his best targets walk out of the building, especially when you look at their payroll, you look at their cap situation. There's no excuses. That ownership group's going to have to spend some money this year, more than they're normally accustomed to. I don't see any other way around that, and I would be shocked if their offseason doesn't start with a franchise tag from Mike Williams.
If we're looking at Kansas City, you can't talk about them without Tyrann Mathieu, especially the leader in that defense, in that secondary. All these runs toward a Super Bowl and also the AFC Championship, but the cap space is not ideal for KC. Does he get the tag, or is he going somewhere else here?
I would be really surprised if he's back there. You talk to people close to him, he's kind of getting himself to be at peace with playing somewhere else. That's where everything is trending. If the Chiefs use the franchise tag, it'll be on Orlando Brown, their left tackle. And again, I would be stunned if they don't put that tag on Orlando Brown. They just traded a one and some other picks for him a year ago. Solidifying that offensive line was paramount for that organization. Andy Reid's not going to let a Pro Bowl left tackle walk out the door after 1 year. So no, I don't think Tyrann Mathieu is back there. I don't think Frank Clark is back there, and they're going to have to address some needs on defense this offseason. But you're right, their cap situation is not ideal. How could it be, given the roster they've assembled?
You talk about the secondary there. Another key piece, a Pro Bowler in New England, J.C. Jackson. He's been very vocal lately, not feeling the love, saying, I guess they feel like they don't need me. I mentioned a Pro Bowler. He was maybe one of the best ball hawks we saw this past season. The contract talks have remained silent here, JLC, but the tag for a corner is just over $17 million. What happens here with Jackson in New England?
I expect him to get tagged. This is a team that not that long ago was willing to make Stephon Gilmore the highest paid corner in the league. You've seen what they've done in the past with the keep. It's a position that Belichick's willing to pay for. He's willing to pay one. He's not willing generally to pay two top dollar. But this is a team that started to spend bigger in free agency a year ago. They got themselves in a position cap-wise where they could do that. I don't think he makes the splurges he made a year ago to let a defensive MVP candidate walk out the door in his prime when it's not like there's four other guys who they need to use that tag on if they don't use it on J.C. Jackson. But yes, the players don't like this mechanism. I completely understand why. It's something that the NFLPA at times has tried to get eliminated in CBA talks, but it's been a non-starter for the owners because it is such an effective tool to retain a player despite him having earned what on the face should be sufficient service time to enter the open market. I can't imagine Bill Belichick letting this young player go to the market when he has this restrictive device that he can utilize.
Jackson's mentioned, by the way, he's willing to pay the tag. It's just been radio silent between the two parties there. Teams have been looking to upgrade quarterbacks, and there's no Matthew Stafford out there that can kind of give them the effect what we saw with the Rams in the Super Bowl here. Not many options out there. You wrote about this on CBSSports.com. Tell us more of what you're noticing across the league here.
I mean, there's an air of desperation. There are general managers, team presidents, owners who are scrambling, who are having private meetings, trying to figure out what's our most cogent plan to get better at the quarterback position, and there's still more questions than answers because the Aaron Rodgers situation hasn't been, we don't know, right? Still up in the air. Russell Wilson, how's that Cold War going to go down, and is he willing to actually ask for a trade if he's not comfortable there? There's obviously mitigating circumstances in the legal and civil capacity for Deshaun Watson, and you've had some teams like you showed Tom Brady there. You know, the Bucs were really hopeful that Tom Brady was going to be there for more than 2 years. Now he's not, but even with the players that they'll lose in free agency or if Ndamukong Suh retires, it's still a really good football team. The idea that Blaine Gabbert is going to be good enough, and I know that's what Bruce Arians is selling right now, but I think that's a bold exterior, right? A bold public front, but inwardly, there's no way they want to put that team in Blaine Gabbert's hands. It's just not ideal. It's not close to being ideal. So Pittsburgh, Tampa, they can win with a real quarterback. Can they get one? The rest of the team should still be good enough. And then you've got teams like Carolina and Washington that have been chasing a franchise quarterback. In Washington's case for decades, there is a really urgent sense there that we've got to figure this out. But it's easier said than done. And maybe it's a Garoppolo, maybe it's a Wentz, maybe it's somebody in that tier. But it is not an easy road to a surefire upgrade, and the draft has more questions than answers.
I don't know, maybe somebody can pull Tom Brady from going Hollywood, and maybe he wants to come back from being a movie star and get back on the field. We'll have to see if that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably won't happen. Jason La Canfora, as always, breaking it down for us. The Pick Six Podcast, as always, putting it on the same page for us here. The latest pod talking Von Miller, Justin Hudson there, Houston there, Will Brinson and Tyler Sullivan breaking down the top 25 free agents on defense, focusing where they could lane if they're not retained with their current teams. Download and give them a follow.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.